picture the year 1933.
Okay.
I want you to really put yourself there. You look out your window, and what is the reality staring back at you?
Well, it's pretty bleak.
It is a country on its knees. We are talking about the absolute nadir of the Great Depression here.
Right.
You have Hoovervilles sprouting up in public parks like weeds. These are shanty towns built out of scrap metal and cardboard.
And you have bread lines.
Yes, bread lines stretching around city blocks. And they're filled with men in fedoras who, just a few years ago, they had careers.
They have families, futures.
Exactly. Now, there is a genuine, visceral hunger on the streets. It is gritty, it is desperate, and it is gray.
And yet, if you were to turn away from that window and walk into a movie theater in that exact same year, 1933...
You're effectively buying a ticket to a different planet.
You really are. You see these pristine Art Deco sets that just gleam in black and white. You see silk gowns that they probably cost more than the average house.
Easily.
You see perfectly coiffed stars living these lives of impossible romance, witty banter, and luxury.
It was the ultimate escape.
It had to be. The harder the reality became outside, the more perfect the illusion had to be inside.
Exactly. It's the dream factory. But today, we aren't here to celebrate the movies.
No, we are not.
We are going to take a sledgehammer to that dream. We are pulling back the velvet curtain on the golden age of Hollywood to look at the machinery that kept that illusion alive.
The really dark machinery.
Because when you look closely at the source material we have today, specifically focusing on the world depicted in our focal point, Land of Dreams, you realize the Golden Age was built on rust, coercion, and, well, a lot of dirty secrets.
It wasn't just a dream factory. It was a machine. And like any industrial machine, it chewed people up.
It really did.
It was fueled by surveillance that would make modern intelligence agencies blush. You had chemical dependencies instilled by studio doctors and cover-ups that protected the bottom line at the expense of human lives.
So we're basing this deep dive on a stack of documents surrounding this narrative. And our guide through this neon-lit underworld isn't a famous starlet. And it isn't a powerful director. It's a woman named Francesca Donnelly. Frankie. In the parlance of the time, she's a girl Friday.
Which is such a deceptive term, isn't it?
It sounds cute.
It sounds almost diminutive, like, oh, she just gets the coffee. But a girl Friday, in this context, is the person who holds the keys to the skeletons in the closet.
She's the fixer.
Right. She's the assistant, the fixer, the person who cleans up the vomit and pays off the police so the star can look absolutely perfect at the premiere.
And Frankie is such a fascinating lens for this deep dive because she straddles those two worlds we just described.
She does.
She comes from the absolute bottom, tenement poverty in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And she claws her way into the inner sanctum of RCO studios in Hollywood.
She sees the desperation on the streets because she lived it.
Right.
And she sees the artificiality on the soundstage because she literally helps manufacture it.
She is the bridge between the hunger and the excess.
Yeah.
And that gives her this very unique, albeit cynical, perspective.
She knows the cost of the ticket.
So let's unpack this. We have a clear mission for this deep dive today. We want to understand the true cost of fame in 1933.
We're going to look at how the studio system literally owned their actors, body and soul.
We're going to analyze the high stakes of what they called the fix, where a single scandal could topple an entire empire.
And we're going to follow Frankie Donnelly as she finds herself in the ultimate conflict of interest.
Yeah, this is the core of it. She has to orchestrate a fake engagement for the man she secretly loves.
Just to save his career.
It is a classic conflict of heart versus survival.
But to understand why Frankie makes the choices she makes, choices that might seem, well, cold or calculating to us now, we have to understand where she started.
We have to go back to New York City.
December 1930.
Right. Let's set the scene. It's freezing. Frankie is 23 years old, she's completely broke, and she's grieving the recent death of her mother, Fiona.
And when we say broke...
I don't mean she's skipping her morning latte.
No, I mean she is lying in bed, staring at the cracks in her ceiling, terrified that the ceiling is a metaphor for her life collapsing.
There is a pervasive sense of hopelessness in the source material regarding this period. Frankie describes New York as a city full of people with no place to go, moving just to keep warm.
It's a very specific kind of urban despair.
And then, amidst this gray misery, something strange happens. An atmospheric phenomena.
Nice sun dog.
This is such a cool visual to kick off the story. For those who don't know, a sundog or a parhelion happens when ice crystals in the air refract sunlight.
It creates these bright spots on either side of the sun.
Almost like mock suns. It looks like the sky is literally cracked open. In the documents, it describes how traffic just stops on Mott Street.
Everyone lifts up.
It's this rare moment of collective wonder.
And most people, they see a miracle. They see a break in the gloom. It's a moment of spiritual pause.
But Frankie,
This is what defines her character right out of the gate. She doesn't just stare at the sky. She looks around and sees that the distraction has created an opening.
this tells you everything you need to know about her survival instinct. While everyone else is gazing at the heavens, Frankie spots a massive line for a job interview at a restaurant.
And she realizes the manager is distracted by the phenomenon.
The other applicants are distracted. So what does she do?
She cuts the entire line.
She just walks right past them. She bypasses the rules. She slips her application right to the top of the pile while the whole world is looking the other way.
It's scrappy. It's desperate. She even charms a woman in line, lies about needing to use the bathroom, and essentially cons her way into the interview.
But here's the kicker. She gets caught.
Sort of.
Enter Nico Marconi.
Nico.
Nico is the head of publicity for RCO Studios. He happens to be in that exact restaurant eating figs and ricotta.
Which, by the way, is such a power move in a Depression-era diner.
It really is. And he watches this whole performance by Frankie. He sees the con.
And he loves it.
He does. Because the actual restaurant manager rejects Frankie. During the interview, she tries to sound tough. She actually admits to having an arrest record.
She thinks that showing she's willing to get her hands dirty will get her the job.
But the restaurant guy just wants a clean, polite waitress.
But Nico isn't looking for a waitress. He's a high-powered Hollywood fixer scouting for talent.
But not acting talent.
No, he's looking for a professional liar.
Exactly. When he hears arrest record and willing to get hands dirty, his ears perk up. He intercepts her.
He tells her, do what you gotta do in life, but you can't do it here.
He essentially hires her on the spot because of her moral flexibility. He hands her his card and tells her to get to Hollywood.
He sees a kindred spirit. He sees someone who understands that the truth is just an obstacle to be managed.
And that's the launchpad. She goes from the freezing tenements of New York to the sun-drenched backlot of RCO Studios in Los Angeles.
And this is where things get really interesting. We need to talk about RCO Studios because this isn't just a workplace.
It's a fortress.
It's a state within a state.
It's a self-contained universe. The description of the offices is wild. They are disguised as an English village.
You walk in, and it's half-timbered houses, climbing roses, winding paths.
It's designed to look completely quaint and harmless.
Which is a brilliant psychological tactic. It's disarming, but inside those cottage walls, it's a surveillance state.
It's a panopticon. Let's talk about the cookie tin. This detail just blew my mind.
It sounds so innocent, right? A tin for biscuits.
But it's actually a tool of total information control.
It is chilling. In Nico's office, there is a literal cookie tin filled with telegrams, but they aren't fan mail.
No.
Nico and Frankie have a system where they intercept and read every single telegram sent to or sent by their stars.
Every single one. Even the highly personal ones.
Especially the personal ones. They have backdoor arrangements with the telegraph offices.
That's incredible.
They know about health issues, secret affairs, gambling debts, family squabbles, blackmail attempts. They know it all before the actor even opens their own mail.
That is wild. It effectively removes any shred of privacy the actors might have. They are living in a glass house, but the glass is one way.
Nico sees in, they can't see out.
It is necessary for the studio's business model, though, if you think about it.
Yeah.
You have to remember, in the 1930s, the star system treated actors like assets.
They were investments, like racehorses or real estate.
Right. And if an asset is about to devalue itself by getting pregnant out of wedlock or getting arrested or saying the wrong thing to the press, the studio needs to know first so they can spin the narrative.
And they have a vast network of spies to back this up.
The helpers.
Yes. This is the human intelligence side of the operation. Waiters, valets, bartenders, maids at the high-end hotels, they are all on the studio payroll.
If a star orders a fifth drink at the Coconut Grove, Nico gets a phone call.
If a star has a screaming match with their spouse in a hotel lobby, Nico knows before the echoes fade.
It's suffocating. And what if the stars don't cooperate? What if they try to rebel against this level of control?
The studio has a terrifying menu of punishments. They call it the A, B, C, S.
It's a systematic way to break an actor's spirit. Let's walk through them. A is for audition.
Right. If a star gets too big for their britches or demands a raise, the studio forces them to audition for a role they should have been offered outright.
It's designed to induce insecurity.
To make them feel like they haven't actually made it yet.
It shakes their confidence.
Exactly. Then there is B. B is for budget.
The studio will slash the budget of the star's next film.
They'll use cheap sets, bad lighting, second-rate directors. They intentionally make the film look cheap to ensure it flops at the box office.
So they literally sabotage their own product just to teach the actor a lesson.
It's about the long game. A flop lowers the actor's market value, making them much easier to control during contract negotiations.
Wow. And finally, C, which sounds the cruelest to me.
C is for character. They force the actor to play a villain or a deeply repulsive role.
There's a mention in our notes of a rewrite where a character suddenly has to kill the family dog just to ruin the actor's public image.
They turn the audience against the star. It's psychological warfare.
It's not just psychological, though. It's chemical. We have to talk about the inhalers.
This is a part of Hollywood history that often gets glossed over until you get to the Judy Garland era, but it was happening right there in 1933.
This is the dark underbelly of those grueling shooting schedules. To keep actors awake for 18-hour days, 6 days a week, the studio doctors provided Benzedrine inhalers.
Now, these were sold over the counter for nasal congestion, but the actors were taught to break them open.
They would take the cotton strip out, right?
Yes. The cotton strip inside was soaked in the stimulant. They would swallow it. It was a massive dose of amphetamines.
So they are speed freaks, basically. State-sanctioned speed freaks.
And then, inevitably, when they're too wired to sleep at 2 a.m, the studio doctor is right there with barbiturates to bring them down.
It's a relentless cycle of uppers and downers that keeps them pliable, dependent, and physically exhausted.
They aren't just employees. They are addicts created by their employer.
So into this massive, terrifying machine steps Frankie. She's Nico's right hand.
And she's good at it. She's scrappy. She's learning the trade quickly.
But things get complicated because she's not just an objective observer anymore. She is in love.
This is the central conflict that drives the entire narrative. Frankie is secretly dating Jack Sawyer.
Jack Sawyer, the leading man, the rustic heartthrob. The studio bio says he's from a ranch in Montana. He boxes, he plays tennis, he wrestles bears.
He's the all-American tough guy.
But that biography is a complete fabrication.
A total piece of creative writing by the publicity department. In reality, Jack is from Louisiana. He's a theater actor at heart.
And most importantly, he suffers from severe PTSD from World War I.
Which complicates the tough guy image immensely.
He can't handle loud noises. He has specific debilitating triggers. And he's trapped in a marriage to a woman named Donna who is actively blackmailing him.
He's a broken man playing the role of a hero.
And Frankie loves the real Jack, the broken Jack. They meet in secret at his cottage in Venice Beach.
They bond over being outside. It's actually really sweet. They eat spaghetti, listen to jazz. For a moment, they can pretend the machine doesn't exist.
They are trauma bonded in a way. They both see right through the artifice.
Frankie knows the studio is fake because she helps build the sets. Jack knows it's fake because he has to live the lie.
But the machine always intrudes. And the catalyst for the ultimate crisis is the other half of RCO's golden couple, June Finney.
June Finney, the blonde bombshell, America's sweetheart.
On screen, she is radiant. Off screen, she is a woman on the verge of a total breakdown.
She's insecure, she drinks too much, and she is fiercely controlled by her terrifying sister, Ida.
But the big problem, the problem that sets everything on fire, June is pregnant.
And it's not Jack's baby.
No. It likely belongs to her ex, a guy named Tank Adams, who is essentially a stalker and a criminal.
But here is the bind. In 1933, an unwed mother is a career-ending scandal. It violently violates the morals clause in her contract.
We should explain that for you listening. The morals clause wasn't just a polite suggestion.
No, it was legally binding. It allowed the studio to fire an actor and cancel their salary immediately if they did anything to bring public disrepute to the studio.
An illegitimate child was the ultimate breach. It would destroy June, and it would destroy the studio's massive financial investment in her.
So, the studio comes up with a solution, the fix, and it is brutal in its simplicity.
They mandate that Jack and June must get married. Immediately.
It solves everything for the studio. It covers up the pregnancy by pretending the baby is Jack's.
They'll just say it was a bit premature later on.
Right. And it creates a massive publicity hype for their upcoming movie, Desert Sun.
Total synergy. They turn a career-ending scandal into a brilliant marketing campaign. But it destroys Frankie.
It really does. And in a twist of cruelty that only Hollywood could manufacture, Nico promotes Frankie.
He makes her an associate. He gives her a raise.
But her very first task as an associate, she has to facilitate the engagement of her own boyfriend to another woman.
Talk about a conflict of interest. Does Nico know about Frankie and Jack?
He strongly suspects, and he effectively bribes her to make sure she complies. He offers her a house in Edendale.
A house. This goes back to the intro. The cracks in the ceiling in New York.
Exactly. For someone like Frankie, who grew up in freezing tenements, who counts every single penny, who has never once felt safe.
A house is the ultimate currency.
It represents true security. It represents the one thing her mother never had. It's not about greed for Frankie. It's about survival.
So she has to choose. Love or safety?
And she chooses safety. She chooses the job. She sits down and tells Jack he has to do it.
Ouch. That is heavy. And Jack does not take it well at all.
Jack is furious. He feels betrayed by the studio, obviously, but the betrayal by Frankie is the real knife in the back.
He wants to live his own life. He hates the lie.
And to make matters worse, he finds out the studio has been lying to him about his ex-wife's whereabouts.
Turns out Nico knew where she was all along and was paying her off.
So Jack starts to spiral, fast. He breaks his 2-drink rule.
Right. Because of his war trauma, Jack usually limits his alcohol intake very strictly.
But the pressure of this fake engagement pushes him entirely off the wagon. He starts drinking heavily to numb the anger.
And this leads us to one of the most harrowing scenes in the source material, the alley incident.
Let's break this down because I think this is the pivotal turning point of the entire story.
It's night. Jack is at his sprawling mansion in Pasadena. He's drunk. He's hallucinating.
He hears a noise in the alley behind his house. In his mind, flashing back to the trenches, it's an enemy, or perhaps just an intruder.
But his reaction is purely military. He grabs a shotgun. He goes out into the dark.
And Frankie is there. She's tried to calm him down, but he's gone. He's completely in the zone.
He points the shotgun at the intruder. But when the light hits, it isn't an intruder at all.
It's a homeless woman and her child scavenging for food in his trash cans.
The contrast there is staggering. You have the millionaire movie star drunk on expensive bourbon, living in a palace, pointing a weapon at a starving mother and child.
It is the defining image of the story's theme. The illusion versus the reality. Frankie intervenes just in time.
She stops him from shooting. She screams at him.
And Jack kind of snaps out of it, but he doesn't fully remember it later. The blackout creates a terrifying gap in his reality.
But Frankie sees it clearly. She packs food for the woman. She sees the genuine hunger.
And that hunger triggers Frankie's own trauma. Her mother, Fiona, essentially died of malnutrition. She worked herself to death to feed Frankie.
So when Frankie sees that woman in the alley, she isn't just seeing a stranger.
She's seeing her own past. She's seeing what happens when you don't have the safety that RCO Studios provides.
Which reinforces why she feels she must keep this job, even if it means breaking her own heart. She looks at the starving woman and thinks, I can never let that be me again.
Exactly. It solidifies her resolve. She can't go back to being that hungry child.
So after this near disaster, the studio goes into full damage control mode. The wedding is approaching. Jack is unstable. June is a wreck. They initiate the Malibu Protocol. What is that?
It's a classic PR maneuver to hide the fact that the happy couple can't stand each other and are both on the verge of total collapse. The studio sends decoy cars to a beach house in Malibu.
They leak info to the press that Jack and June are there for a romantic pre-wedding getaway.
But they aren't there at all.
No, they separate them completely. Jack goes to his hidden cottage in Venice. June goes to the studio bungalows.
It's about creating physical distance to let them sober up and calm down, while the public consumes the fantasy of their romance via the gossip columns.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Edward Bernays, the father of public relations, is mentioned in the notes. The idea that you can manufacture truth if you control the details.
Everyone holds the cards to their own downfall. That's what Nico says. The studio believes that if they can just control the optics, the right dress, the right rumor, the right lie, they can control reality.
But human beings are messy. You can't script trauma. And you certainly can't script the economy.
Speaking of the economy, let's talk about the premiere of Desert Sun. This is the real climax of our deep dive.
The atmosphere is incredibly tense. It's March 1933. Historically, this is the exact moment of the bank holiday.
The banking system in America has essentially collapsed. FDR shuts down the banks to stop the panic.
People can't get their money. There's widespread panic in the air.
And yet, here is RCO Studios throwing a lavish premiere. June Finney shows up wearing a Harry Winston diamond necklace that's worth more than most people in the crowd will earn in a lifetime.
The pathetic fallacy is at work here. The weather is threatening, the sky is gray, it's about to rain.
The contrast between the starving, panicked crowds outside and the diamonds on June's neck is grotesque. It's a powder keg.
And to make matters worse, Tank Adams, the stalker, the likely father of June's baby, is spotted in the crowd.
Frankie is trying to hold the match to keep it from lighting the fuse.
She's running interference. She manages to get them through the premiere without a public meltdown.
They execute the Malibu protocol to get them away from the after party. But the night isn't over.
No, Jack shows up in Frankie's apartment.
He's drunk. He's wet from the rain. He's holding a bottle of bourbon in a paper bag. He's completely desperate.
He's come to the only person who sees him as real. He's looking for sanctuary.
And this is the moment of truth for Frankie. Does she comfort him? Does she take him in?
She doesn't. And you have to understand why. It's the bank holiday. Frankie realizes she has absolutely no cash.
The studio system, Nico, is her only financial safety net. If she gets caught harboring Jack, she loses the job, the house, everything, at a moment when money has literally stopped flowing in the country.
It's fear, pure economic terror.
She sees him as a massive liability. She drives him to the studio bungalows where June is staying because it's the safe place to stash him. It's the company's solution.
She drops him off. She watches him stumble down the path in the dark.
She chooses the job. She chooses the safety of the studio over the messy reality of the man she loves. She leaves him there.
And that leads us to the cliffhanger.
Frankie gets a frantic call shortly after. Jack needs help.
Something has happened at the bungalow. We don't know exactly what. A medical crisis, an injury, a breakdown. But the implication is crystal clear.
By doing her job perfectly, by forcing him into the box the studio created, Frankie may have pushed him completely over the edge.
It's a tragedy of good intentions, isn't it? Or maybe just fear.
It's the harsh realization that you cannot fix a human being the way you fix a press release.
Wow. Okay, let's take a step back. We've covered a lot of ground. We've got the fake engagement, the surveillance, the starving masses versus the glitz.
But what strikes me is the character of Nico. We haven't talked enough about him. He's the puppet master in all of this.
Nico is a really complex figure. He's not a villain in the mustache-twirling sense. He genuinely believes he is saving these people.
He views himself as a guardian. He actually says people need to be saved from themselves.
But his version of saving them looks a lot like owning them.
Precisely. He strips them of their agency. He reads their mail. He decides who they marry. He decides where they live. He treats them like volatile children.
And Frankie is his apprentice. She's learning to view people as problems to be solved rather than humans to be understood.
That scene where she learns about the ABC punishments, she doesn't recoil in horror. She takes notes.
Because survival is her primary driver. You have to remember the context of the Great Depression. When you have seen the abyss of poverty, you will do almost anything to stay on the cliff edge.
Nico offers her a hand. She takes it. The cost is just her empathy.
Let's talk about the sundog moment again, the crack in the sky. It feels incredibly symbolic for the whole story.
It is. It represents a break in reality. For a brief moment, the gray world is filled with color. That is what Hollywood is.
It's a sundog.
It's a beautiful optical illusion, but you can't live inside a sundog. Eventually, the clouds close back up. Reality returns.
And for Jack, reality is returning with a vengeance. The PTSD flashbacks, the alcohol, those are the clouds closing in.
And the studio is frantically trying to paint over the clouds. They're trying to say, look, everything is fine. Look at the happy couple. But the cracks are showing everywhere.
I want to touch on the hunger theme again. You mentioned Fiona dying of malnutrition, but there's also the Hollywood diet.
Yes, the 18-day diet, grapefruit and starvation. June Finney is literally starving herself to fit into those silk gowns.
So you have the involuntary starvation of the Depression, the people in the breadlines, and the voluntary starvation of the elite.
Both are forms of control.
And both are forms of suffering. Frankie drinks water before meals to feel full of tricks she learned from her mother. It's a survival tactic.
June takes Benzedrine to kill her appetite. It's a professional tactic. But the result is exactly the same. Profound emptiness.
That is profound. Everyone in this story is hungry for something. Food, safety, love, recognition.
And the Land of Dreams promises to feed them, but it only offers empty calories. It offers fame, not love. It offers money, not genuine security.
So what about the relationship between Jack and June? They are forced together, but they actually have a weird bond, don't they?
They do. They are trauma bonded. They are the only two people who understand what it's like to be fully owned by RCO Studios.
There's a scene where they are fishing in Jack's pond. Well, Jack and Frankie are fishing, but Jack talks about June. He says they hate each other, but they understand each other.
Because they are both products.
Exactly. They are the shiny hood ornaments on a car that is being driven by someone else entirely.
And Frankie is the mechanic keeping the engine running.
Which puts her in a very lonely position. She's not talent, so she's not one of them. But she's not fully management either, because she loves Jack.
She's in no man's land.
Let's pivot back to the bank holiday, the financial context. Why is this so absolutely critical to the climax?
It raises the stakes exponentially. If the banks close, cash is king. Frankie realizes she has no cash. She is entirely dependent on the studio for her apartment, her car, her livelihood.
If she loses her job, she is destitute immediately.
It removes her safety net in one fell swoop. It forces her hand. When Jack shows up drunk, if she helps him and gets caught, she loses everything at the exact moment the economy is collapsing.
It makes her decision to drop him off at the bungalow understandable, even if it feels incredibly heartless.
It is pure, unadulterated economic terror.
And Jack doesn't get that, does he? He's rich. Even if the banks close, he has assets.
He lives in a mansion. He throws away food. He doesn't understand the visceral fear of the rent collector. That is the disconnect between them.
He thinks she's choosing the studio because she sold out. She is choosing the studio because she wants to survive.
The beast we work for, that's what Jack calls the studio.
And he's right. But it's a beast that feeds them. Let's talk about the mysterious telegram. The one Betty, the secretary, was freaking out about.
Ah, yes, the missing cookie tin. Frankie accidentally leaves the tin at Jack's house. This is a massive security breach.
If Jack reads the telegrams, he learns the truth about his ex-wife, Donna.
That the studio knew where she was all along, and that they've been secretly paying her off.
It proves that Nico has been manipulating Jack's entire life. When Jack finally sees the telegrams, that is the moment the trust breaks irrevocably.
He realizes he is a puppet.
And he realizes Frankie knew. She was complicit.
That's the deepest betrayal. It's not just that she works for them, it's that she kept the truth from him.
And in his eyes, that makes her just another cog in the machine.
Let's unpack the origin story a bit more. The interview scene with Nico. Frankie cuts the line. She lies. She tells Nico she's willing to get her hands dirty. Why does Nico like that so much?
Because Hollywood runs on dirty hands. Nico doesn't need a saint. He needs a soldier.
He needs someone who can look a reporter in the eye and lie about a star's whereabouts without even blinking.
Frankie proves in that moment that she values results over rules.
She's a pragmatist. Like him, Nico sees himself in her. He sees a survivor. And he thinks, I can mold this.
And he does. He molds her into a fixer. But he also warns her. He tells her, fearless people take too many risks.
He recognizes that her greatest strength, her scrappiness, is also her biggest liability. If she gets too emotionally involved, she'll make mistakes.
And she does. She falls in love with the client. Rule number 1 of being a fixer: don't fall in love with the fix.
Precisely.
I want to go back to the English village at the studio. Why that specific aesthetic? Why not just normal office buildings?
It's part of the psychological conditioning. Even the workspace is a set. It blurs the line between reality and fiction for the employees themselves.
If you work in a fake village, it becomes much easier to manufacture fake stories. You are already living in a fantasy.
And the parrots. Romeo and Juliet.
Caged in a custom Chrysler building-style cage. It's a perfect metaphor.
They are beautiful, exotic creatures trapped in a gilded cage, just like Jack and June.
Oh.
They are on display, they are loud, and they can never leave.
And there's that moment where Betty sees a third parrot outside the window. A free parrot.
And she doesn't know if the free bird wants to get in or if the caged birds want to get out. It mirrors Frankie's internal struggle perfectly.
Does she want to be in the cage of the studio with its safety, or out in the wild with its danger?
It's the central question of the American dream, isn't it? Freedom versus security.
So we have the origin, the machine, the love rectangle, the spiral. Let's talk about the unraveling. The shotgun scene in the alley is the turning point, but there's also the tennis court scene.
Yes. Jack beating the hell out of a tennis ball. He uses tennis as a way to exercise his demons.
But it's not enough. The physical exertion can't purge the psychological trauma.
And he's physically powerful, which makes him dangerous. When he loses control, he's a large, strong man. That's why the studio is so afraid of his temper.
He could hurt someone. He could hurt June.
Which brings us back to the Malibu Protocol. It's not just about hiding their mutual dislike, it's about physical safety.
It's containment. They are containing a highly volatile chemical reaction. And Ida Finney, June's sister, She's quite a piece of work.
Ida is the Lady Macbeth figure here. She pushes June, she medicates June, she sacrifices June's happiness for the paycheck.
She is the ultimate enabler of the system because she benefits directly from it.
Admission to the battle. That's what she calls talent.
It's an incredibly cynical worldview. Talent isn't a gift, it's just a ticket to the fight. And you have to fight dirty to stay in the ring.
Let's talk about the ending of our source material again. The cliffhanger. Frankie drives away. She leaves Jack at the bungalow. She thinks she's solved the problem.
She thinks she has fixed it. She put the package in the safe deposit box. But the package is a human being, and human beings don't stay neatly in boxes.
The phone call comes. Jack needs help.
And the tragedy is, Frankie's the only one who could have helped him if she had just listened to her heart instead of her boss.
But she didn't. And now she has to live with the consequences.
It sets up this incredible tension for whatever happens next. Does she go back? Does she call Nico?
If she calls Nico, the troops arrive. The ambulance, the heavies. It becomes a major studio incident.
If she goes back herself, she risks being caught. It's the exact same choice, amplified. What stands out to you most about this entire story?
For me, it's the fragility of it all. We look back at the golden age of Hollywood as this monolithic, powerful era.
But Land of Dreams shows us that it was held together by duct tape, pills, and lies. It was always one bad headline away from total collapse.
And the people inside it were hanging on by their fingernails. Even the biggest stars were terrified.
Terrified of being forgotten, terrified of being exposed, terrified of being poor.
It makes you look at those old black and white movies differently. You see the smile, but now you wonder what pill they took to get that smile.
You wonder what telegram is sitting in the cookie tin back at the office.
You wonder who they had to leave behind in an alley to get to the premiere.
So what does this all mean for us today as you listen to this deep dive?
Well, we don't have the classic studio system anymore, but we have social media, we have influencers, we have highly curated lives.
We have the highlight reel.
We are all publicists for our own lives now. We edit, we filter, we spin, we create our own sundogs, little illusions to distract people from the gray reality.
That is a genuinely scary thought.
Yeah.
We are all Frankie Donnelly now.
Or maybe we're all Jack Sawyer, desperately trying to perform a version of ourselves that doesn't really exist.
And hoping no one finds the cookie tin.
Hoping no one reads the telegrams.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've gone from the breadlines of 1933 to the red carpets of Hollywood. We've seen the beauty and the ugliness.
The ugly beauty, as Jack calls it.
A woman so beautiful that her beauty loses all meaning.
It's a haunting phrase.
I keep thinking about that image of Frankie and her mother. The 3 taps in the palm. I love you.
A wordless code. It's the one piece of genuine, unscripted connection Frankie has. And she clings to it. It's her absolute anchor.
In a world of scripts, be the unscripted moment.
I like that a lot.
Before we wrap up, let's go back to the very beginning. The mission we set out. Did we explore the machinery? Yes. Did we analyze the high stakes? Absolutely. Did we unpack the conflict? I think so.
We saw that the machinery is brutal, the stakes are literal life and death, and the conflict is deeply internal. It's the soul versus the salary.
And the salary usually wins out.
Especially when the banks are closed.
Especially then. It's a survival story, ultimately. Frankie is a survivor. Jack is a casualty.
A casualty of the dream.
Yes. You know, it makes me wonder about the movies coming out today. Who is fixing the messes right now? Who is the modern day Nico Marconi?
Oh, they are definitely out there. The technology has changed, but the fundamental job hasn't. There is always someone cleaning up the mess. There's always a fixer.
And there's always a severe cost.
Always.
Well, this has been an exploration of the themes in Land of Dreams. A story about the lies we tell to survive and the truths that catch up with us anyway.
A stark reminder that even in the land of dreams, you eventually have to wake up.
And when you do, you hope there's someone there to catch you.
Or at least someone to drive the getaway car.
Ideally both.
Ideal.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a wild ride through the Golden Age. We leave you with this final thought. We live in a world of fake news, filtered photos, and heavily curated realities. We look back at 1933 and easily judge the studio system for manufacturing lies. But ask yourself, do we really want the truth? Or do we, just like the audiences of the Great Depression, prefer the beautiful lie? And for the fixers out there, the ones holding it all together behind the scenes, is the price of admission, losing your own identity, ever really worth the safety it buys?
That is the ultimate question.
Something for you to mull over. Until next time, keep diving deep.